Yeah, Rabbi Rosenburg in the house. Interesting day today. Let's get straight to the point because I no tilly dally. I listened to Rabbi talking. He's got some beautiful views, but there's some things that questions left unanswered. And my personal thing anyway, I'll say this: we just spoke something off the air, and just a while ago you said the word Adam and the word Adam is used 3 times. We said it was Adam. You said it was Adam. Who else?
Well, you see, Adam, he's created from the soil, from the earth.
Adam was created from Adam.
From the soil,
okay.
From the earth.
But is that in the Torah?
Well, his name is in the Torah.
Okay, because according to the Torah, Adam was created from Adamah.
Right, the earth.
Not Adam, but Adamah.
Correct, but when the nature of Hebrew letters is, they have multiple meanings and they could be used different ways of understanding. So if there's a word Adom which has a certain color connotation in Hebrew, and the same letters make up the word Adam, there's always a lesson to learn, whether we actually have that information or not.
What I'm saying to you,
yes.
One point is, you speak Hebrew,
yes.
I read biblical Hebrew, it says Adam was created from Adamah, not Adam. So when we look at Adamah, we're talking about in the Hebrew, it says hummus, or he come from the earth, like brown, black, not really brown, but dark. But you say it's come from Adam, which is a bit different. Adam is red, or ruddy, shall I say?
If you learn any, you say you're learning the biblical Hebrew, which is great. There's principles of expounding on the Torah, of how we understand the Torah. So if 3 letters have the same 3 letters for 2 words, then there's something to learn over there.
Okay, cool. There's something to learn over there. But I'm saying the principal fact of the Torah says Adam was created from Adamah, not Adam, right?
From earth, right.
Okay.
We just got on a lesson just later on in the world of the Torah. We used those 3 same letters in different permutations to describe Esau and to describe King David.
Cool. But what I'm saying is, again, the Adam complex, because that's a real big complex to a lot of people. Because I mean, if you go from even from a Quranic point of view, Adam's created from Hammer in Masnun, which is black clay. Clay says in Surah 15:26. Just like in the Torah, it shows you that Adam was made from black mud. I mean, like.
I had an interesting question. Let's assume we've gotten to the truth of this question, the full truth. What implications would it have?
What implication would it have? Okay, for instance, truth is the implication, because if I see what I'm getting you to understand is like how people see it from the community. If we're reading one thing and you saying really seeing A and you saying B, then technically people will be like, "Wow, why you come with that when it says this?" So you say it comes from it's Adam, but we seen Adamah.
Well, what's the truth on your side? Because let's say we're talking about earth and soil. There's dark earth soil and there's brown soil.
Okay, but then we know he's created from the surface of the earth, right?
Right.
The upper layers of the earth.
Oh, I don't know how you would know that.
How?
Yeah.
Well, what in Hebrew, your Hebrew dictionary says Adamah means hummus.
Earth, from the earth.
Hummus.
Right.
Hummus is the upper layer surface of the earth.
Well, hummus is the English translation, so I don't know how we know hummus was the Greek word or Latin word that they described fitting for it. They have to show who they were.
But if you look at the upper layer of the soil, natural soil, which soil is predominantly dark?
Well, that's assuming that the Torah was speaking about the upper level, but I still see upper level soil which is pitch black dark, and certain ones which are a little bit brownish.
So you're going to say, okay, little bit brownish. What do you call little bit brownish? Are you talking more on the black side? Now, reason I'm
in a room with a few gentlemen here, and I'm seeing different shades of African hue. Correct?
All right. The fact is, okay, cool. You know what I'm saying to you?
Well, my question is, let's say we get to the truth. What would be the implications?
The implication is, if you're going to walk down the road with somebody, they want to know wholeheartedly they can trust you. That's the implication. The importance of trusting them. Can I trust you?
Right.
Can I trust that, yo, you got my back 100%? Because that's how we walking with you, innit? If I'm walking with a man on the streets, and in North West London, or if I'm in Jamaica, I want to know I can trust my dude. Like, you got my back, innit? So, and you know where you can have my back if you ain't, we ain't feeling each other in the right way of when I say like, you see A and I see B, we want to actually come to a point where you can understand and say, well, do you understand the importance of the implication of why, for a lot of black people when they hear you say Adam, it's like, but that's not what Adam's created from, because the word Adam, we clearly see in the Torah, Adam's created from Adamah. But the fact that you've been saying Adam, which again has 2 different meanings for Adamah, then it's like, well,
Well, let's go rewind a little bit, because when you look at the Torah and the Jewish understanding of it, when we translate Adam and Adamah, we don't slip in a color over there. We don't say he was one or the other when we're speaking about that narrative. So that's our standpoint, you know.
Okay, the next. Cool. I'm gonna leave it there. Just want you to think about.
Okay,
Just
I
make
appreciate
it. It's something to think about. Now, the next thing I want you to think about again is reality. A lot of people in the West as well are listening. Black people in the West, and they're thinking, well, they see themselves biblically, scripturally, fulfilling prophecies. But then they're gonna say to themselves, then you'll say, okay, you were brothers. Now, I have no problem with that. But the thing is, where do you see black people in regards to as biblical Israelites? Do you see them as the indigenous biblical Israelites?
Well, I think the purpose of the Israelites was to liberate humans from that concept, because part of the Torah teaches that the person who joins can be even considered higher than the native if he joins in integrity.
I get. Okay, but I want a direct answer.
Okay, let's go. Keep going.
The biblical Israelites as actual, like, dark-skinned people? Do you see the biblical Israelites were dark-skinned people?
When you speak to the biblical Israelites, are you speaking about the children from King Solomon's 1,000 wives, or are you speaking about 3 men, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob?
Jacob's descendants, Moses and that. Because according to historian, when you look at this, according to the time, as you see in the scriptures, where it talks about, you know, Joseph was mistaken for Egyptian, and we know the ancient Kemetic people are black. We talk about Moses likewise is considered a dark-skinned person. If you even go from a Quranic perspective, Moses is very dark.
Well, I'll tell you, the best I could do right now is tell you what we teach, because we do teach this topic. And I'm a humble guy. I can't, within my confines, I can't know certain things of the past, but I can tell you what I was taught. In the oral law, it was redacted by Judah the Prince almost 2,000 years ago, and he says
Who's Judah the Prince?
Yehuda Hanassi. He was
one of your family members.
Well, there was something called the Exilarch, which was a station that went all the way until the year 900 in Babylon, which was representative from the house of David to the exile. So all the way till about the year 900 in Babylon, we had something called an Exilarch. And they were always the one man who was appointed from the house of Judah to deal with the nations around them. So Judah the Prince, at the time already when the temple was on its downfall and etc., we had someone who represented the house of David for the people of Israel. And he wrote down the oral law, which was not supposed to be written down, but he wrote it down to preserve it. And in his oral law that he wrote down, in a chapter called Negaim, a seder called Negaim, it speaks about leprosy. When people get skin afflictions, and it speaks about
Moses.
It speaks about the color of leprosy, what it would look like on a dark-skinned person, and what it would look like on a light-skinned person. So already we see this one biblical affliction was afflicting people of both color skins. But when they say the children of Israel, we don't know, it's a question if they're referring to Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob, or if they're referring to that time 2,000 years ago. But he says the children of Israel were neither white nor pitch dark, but they were in between hue. And the English translation calls it boxwood. I don't know.
So when you say boxwood, what would I be considered? Would I be between you, or am I too dark?
No, I'm not sure what it would be, but for me, when I'm studying, I don't necessarily try to break my back over understanding that, because I don't see.
It's important to.
Well, I'm trying to learn the implications, like I asked you before. What the implications would be one or the other, because I could be sitting next to, for example, let's say you are an original Israelite color, right? And me, I am, what they call out of the caves from Europe, well, without my melanin, without the blessings of melanin. But the doctrine that you brought to the earth, called the Torah, liberates us from that conversation, because I'm allowed to become an equal to you in the world of spirit. So for me, when we're trying to move forward with this world peace and this, brotherhood, I have to understand the implications of separating us by color.
But again, no one's trying to separate each other by color. It's about understanding truth and the foundation of
color. So we don't say one or the other necessarily.
But then again, it's like running from things like, I got my friend over there, white guy. He's white. Now, for me to say I don't see color, is me being stupid. If me say to him I don't see color, I'm being downright ignorant. I see color. He's white, but he's my boy. Bottom line is, that's just the reality. So for me to pretend like I don't see color, I'm literally playing or acting like, sure he would think himself, if I said to him, oh, I don't see color. Then he'd think to himself, well, does Stevie actually really respect me, or is he trying to play me?
Well, I see color just as much. I'm hanging out with my friend from China. He's got eyes are a little bit different than mine.
So then you see color then?
Well, you can notice certain things are different, I can notice.
No, you notice it, but it doesn't bother us.
My Jewish friends got brown,
okay,
and I got red hair.
That's what we're getting to. So you notice it, but it doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
So then that's the thing. You notice it, but it doesn't bother you. That's when you understand the humanitarian aspect of life.
Right.
But the fact is then, in the doctrine then, to say you don't actually do not want to know the color is, that's a bit confusing. Do you feel me? It's important to then. It's kind of crazy to say, well, we're not going to actually look at the color in the doctrine because what doesn't benefit. I want to know. You know what I'm saying? I want to know who the people were and what they were.
Where is the doctrine? Where is it clear about that then?
Okay, where is it clear about that? We look at many scriptures, many aspects of the scriptures where it refers to the children of Israel and the implications to even Kemet. In regards to, like I said, if you go into even the Quran, it tells you, well, that in certain scriptures of Hadith as well, it shows you what color Moses was. But when you look at the whole thing about Moses, it talks about Moses putting his hand in his bosom from the Torah and taking it out and the change of color. I mean, there's many things that describe that the people will look like the people of Kemet at that time. I mean, at the time people of Kemet were very dark.
I also saw the Kemet was also not one color of dark. It was, the pitch black color, and you had all the way to a brownish, lighter brown.
Okay,
color.
all right. So then let's get to the bottom line of this. What I'm trying to get to.
Please.
So let's say let's switch it like this and say the Israelites of that time. There's two things I'm gonna ask you about. One, you said I heard you mention about you can trace something all the way back to Moses. I can't remember what it was.
My teachers.
Your teacher traced all the way back to Moses. Your teacher's European looking, right?
Well, no, we can trace some parts that were Babylon,
Family,
some parts that were North
and their family
Africa.
can trace all the way back to Moses.
We trace the teachers
Your
back to Moses.
Your teachers or your family line?
Teachers.
Your teachers. So your teachers go all the way back to Moses.
Yes, without missing a generation, without missing.
And they don't know what the teachers look like back in the day. They don't know what the teachers look like to.
Well, the last time we really speak about this color was in the Mishnah, which was Judah the Prince about 2,000 years ago. There was one other reference to color recently in the Kuzari, which was a book written about the conversation between the Israelites and the Khazarian kingdom at the time of their potential conversion. And it was written by Yehuda Halevi, which was someone from the tribe of Judah. And when he writes it, he references very clearly that there would be no difference between the Ethiopian Jew and the German Jew as far as these principles that we're speaking about of the Torah.
So it's about principles again. I mentioned about the color.
Yeah. Well, that we don't. If you could show me where the Torah is clear about it, I'm willing to learn.
So okay, but like I mentioned, the connection.
Well, the hand thing with Moses is not biblical scholarship, because when we're speaking about the leprosy and certain skin afflictions, we're not speaking. If you want to hypothesize and say the skin afflictions the Torah is speaking about is not a rash or leprosy on the skin, it's actually just simply turning white, then how come you see in the Torah people have to wait outside the camp for 7 or 8 days and then they get their skin back and they come in? You don't see today white people going back to a certain skin color,
Well, they were white.
Well, what it was defined as back then, it's very difficult to say that is what the story of Moses was talking about without biblical scholarship.
Today, you have European Jews claiming the center of Israelites, right?
You have a lot of Jews, European being one of them.
Yeah, okay.
All different colors.
Okay, cool.
Claiming.
Cool.
As the prophecy says, it says they're going to come back from Spain, they're going to come back from Ethiopia, they're going to come back from China.
Yeah.
We're coming back from all corners.
Not the reality though. Why is there such a big issue when black people say they're Israelites? Like, it's harder for black people to get in. Don't you think that is the boundary that needs to be started addressing? The boundaries of black people. Because be honest to you, if anyone, like you say, you say that makes that thing where I clearly know from scriptural, the Israelites are black in it. That's from what I've studied, and when you go through where you're talking about, from the biblical, even through the Quran and through studying the history, you find the biblical Israelites were dark-skinned people. But the fact is, though, I'm going to say to you is, why is there such a big problem with black people in the West trying to come here, and then European Jews will say, well, Israel, and they want to laugh and they want to mock. Why are you going to laugh and mock when, like you said, your teachers teach that Moses them weren't really light skinned and weren't really dark skinned. And we know they definitely weren't white, right? They were definitely your complexion.
100%.
Okay, they know they definitely were your complexion, but then there's a mock and a laugh that biblical Israelites were that when black people say they're Israelites, there's a mock and a laugh that, well, are they really, as you said on your podium when you're talking, you said, some people are mocking and laughing, thinking, how can black people be? Then how are these people mocking when they know to themselves that you ain't biblically Israelites because you don't fit the complexion, but yet you're going to mock and laugh those who could maybe fit the complexion?
Well, let me readjust the point, because there's no such thing as you don't fit the complexion.
No, but I'm saying...
Well, the purpose of the people of Israel was to liberate us from that.
Okay, no, but I still... That's one point.
But I hear you. Let me go...
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. I'm just trying to make you understand.
I think that's a lot of just ignorance, because if you look at...
So you're admitting that there's a lot of ignorance when you talk to people in regards to the pulpit, where they're saying... When you said on pulpit, you said person on the pulpit that... When you're talking to your people, I think you're asking people you're talking to, and you said to them that it's a video you sent me, and you said to them about the Israelites. The Israelites are some Israelites, some people from Africa saying they're Israelites, and people were mocking and laughing.
The Lemba tribe.
Yeah, but
They thought they were just trying to get the right of return.
you were saying some people were mocking and laughing.
But really, they had this Kohen gene. That's
Okay, cool. I'm not going to go into all that. I'm just saying, why would they be mocking and laughing when, according to your teachings, you don't fit that biblical complexion of the people before? So why would they mock and laugh those who were more similar and closer to it?
Right. Well,
that's ignorance on both sides, right? If you think.
Well, definitely ignorance. I mean, like I was referencing before, I have an ancestor, the Vilna Gaon, who was a great Ashkenazi rabbi. I was speaking to the community here before. They wrote in a letter hundreds of years ago to Africa, looking for people who had the authentic transmission of Moses, begging them to come return to Israel.
Okay, so
the people may not know about that. The Jewish people on the ground today who are coming from the European exile, they may not know that their greatest rabbi were seeking certain tribes in Africa for certain solutions. That has to be a rollback of information that may be political based and not Torah based.
Well, I think these kind of things you need to get out there.
Yeah.
You may make people understand and see a bit different.
Yeah.
Because I think these is really important that you get these kind of things out there that people can understand. Like I said, I'm not trying to hit out on you at all. This ain't about, it's about clearing certain things that people will be saying and thinking to themselves. And if you've got this type of information to state that, well, hold on, with other individual rabbis who actually accepted and seen and known that tells us, yo, black people are very much a part of this Asian culture. This needs to be out there because what is out there doesn't reflect that.
Correct.
And that's the biggest problem, because when people see the Jewish community, that doesn't reflect. You know what I'm saying? That don't reflect. It looks like, well, you lot are the children of Israel, and everyone else is just trying to jump on your bandwagon. When you say your teachings teach that the people didn't look like you lot. So if your teachers see the people didn't look like you lot, then we definitely can't be jumping on the bandwagon. They don't belong because it can't belong to you because it didn't look like you.
Well, yeah, well, also at the same time, just because someone has a certain skin color does not make him 100% from the descendants of Israel. There was, myriad, dozens of different tribes who,
I'm very familiar with the scriptures of Isaiah, where Isaiah talks about Gentiles and intermixing with children of Israel. I have no problem with that. I'm just talking about the understanding of what's going on and why, trying to make you get a bigger picture of why people be skeptical of you.
Yeah.
In the black community.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? That's my whole thing, to make you understand why people be skeptical of you. Because, it's the concept, they've never been an understanding where, European Jews has actually, come openly and say, hey, well, black people is so good. There's never been that understanding historically for most black people. So that's what we need to, especially, those who are seeking truth, need to understand what's going on. You see what I'm saying? Whether I'm talking, this ain't about race right now, I'm talking about, because truth elevates all things. But at the same time, there's a manifestation for everything.
Right.
You feel me? Everything has a manifestation. So people do want to know where they stand in this.
Right.
And that's really important. You feel me? So that's what's going on, especially with the black community. Like people, and I'll speak especially for myself anyway, because I heard you a couple of times. Well, I like something you say, very mystical, kind of come from a Kabbalistic the way you talk. But I'm saying at the same time, the way you mentioned something, like I said back to Adam thing, and I know Adam live for Adam mom, not Adam. I was like, well, you said Adam is Adam mom, but people want to hear, people need to know where you're coming from. Like, what is your main? Because I know you said you got the rabbis. Now, what are the rabbis saying in regards to helping black people get this stage? Like, you have black people in America, England, who want to come back here, and they fit prophecy just as much as anybody else. But how hard is it for them to come here when they contact Israel embassy and say, we're original Israelites? They get more laughed at. Like, and you be laughing at me when
we have to be very good at doing something, is separating the Torah with the Jewish government that's in existence today. Because not necessarily is the Jewish government practicing and enforcing the Torah.
They're not practicing and enforcing Torah.
Well, it's very clear that there's a lot of inconsistencies. For example, we were speaking about before, they allow someone who went through Reformed or conservative conversion in America to get the right of return. But if you went through an Orthodox conversion in America, it's not good for the right of return. You had to only go through one agency, even appointed rabbi. So we see a lot of their inconsistencies come from certain politics and certain leaders who are not running from the Torah.
But why would a black person have to, or why would anybody have to convert to what you don't say things be or how things be?
Well, there is, it's an interesting question. We were speaking about this before, because anytime someone does something, there has to be a sign of it. For example, in Jewish weddings, when you agree, everyone's together and you're ready to go through it before the wedding, the groom lifts up a pen. He does a symbolic act. So everyone sees he did something So later on, you can't say, "Yo, I didn't really marry, or I was tricked into the whole thing, or I didn't mean to, it wasn't my intention." There always has to be, you are identifying with this, there has to be an action. So really conversion at a basic level, without all the politics surrounding it, is going to a ritual bath, choosing a Hebrew name, and accepting the commandments. Those are three things that are not so difficult for people to accept.
Okay, that's what they got to do.
According to the real law of
yeah, but that's not what they have to do.
Today we've evolved out of that, and there's
realistically, there's a lot of stuff you have to do to.
Well, there's actually groups fighting that. There was actually the Supreme Court was the government was sued last week. There was an organization that won called E-Team, and they got revoked that the Supreme Court only allows Orthodox conversions led by people that the government approves. So that was overturned. So yeah, there's got to be. We got to keep going at it until we get back to what the ancestors were teaching.
Okay, so we see there's a lot of things that are implicated that shouldn't be implicated.
Correct.
But that's what I'm saying. So the reality is, then, so on that note, what are people like yourself and the other rabbis doing about that?
So there's actually, every week there's new movements on the ground about this. Especially you have when the Igbo tribe started, spiritually arousing themselves and waking up and reaching out to Israel and creating relationships with people on the ground. The rabbis had to notice that there's something very serious about this. And it caused them to look into their own works that were inherited, and to see that, as far as last week, there was a conference about this by the Nascent Sanhedrin, which is a high court in Israel of rabbis, where they decided, we see a lot of references from our teachers that there was Jewish communities thriving in Africa, there was trade, as far as that there's only certain plants that are going to be used in the future temple that are only found in Africa, and so only certain African tribes know the secrets of these plants. So we're in definitely a generation of rolling back misinformation and moving forward. And I was speaking about here before in the Village of Peace, is that there's two concentric circles. There's the Jews, and then there's the, let's call it the conscious community, the people waking up to their Israelite roots or identity. And you put them together, the central piece is there, that they have what to unite on based on true teachings. And there's a lot of periphery, like politics, politicians, agendas, that can easily blow away in the wind. So what's going to happen is, like we're building right now, unprecedented building, when people come together for these conversations, we'll walk away with new defined truths.
Okay, so you're saying there's a movement going on right now that's aiming to help open doors for Black British, Black American, Caribbean people.
Any human, because right now it's being held almost hostage.
Okay, but we know we're going by scriptures, yeah?
Yes.
It talks about nations and people gathered together with the children of Israel.
Yeah.
So okay, we're talking about, so there's a way you can look at it. Yeah, you're looking at it like, we're just going to be this big happy family, everyone coming you do that, or are we actually going biblical where we're saying the Israelite nation will be there and the nations and people who will marry into the children of Israel, like it's written in Isaiah? I'm trying to get that point. What are we really saying? Are you just saying everyone's going to, it's open to all nations, everyone just come in, yo, bless everybody? Or are we saying the Israelite people, and then the scripture says, people will marry into with the children of Israel, and they will have lots, and wherever tribe they want to be with, they should be there.
Right, we already have thousands of years of people who grafted in. Even already at the time of King Solomon, he had 1,000 wives. Can you show me in the scriptures where each wife of his was one color only? So the colors became almost an irrelevant topic a while ago. Now what we teach is people who rejoin, and especially the major Jewish principles.
You say the colors of. So who are the children? Who are the children of Israel to you today then?
Well, we teach whoever joins, whoever identifies as I am, it means their soul was.
Okay,
it wasn't,
so anyone on the earth just gets up and says, I'm an Israelite, I'm an Israelite.
Well, there's only certain people who are actually doing that today.
Okay, but I'm saying, so anybody from any nation, if they decide to get up and say, I'm an Israelite.
Well, how do you know? Just like Joseph was one man who was sold. Hear me out.
Listen, I'm asking questions.
Yeah, I'm going to answer you. Let's say Joseph was sold into slavery, right? He went to Egypt as one man. He married an Egyptian woman. He had 2 kids.
He did marry an Egyptian woman, that's scriptural.
From him, could have had hundreds of thousands of children. How do you know one African colored businessman who was an Israelite didn't make it out to the Silk Road in Afghanistan, to the Far East, did some business dealings? His kids look Japanese today. They look Chinese.
No one's saying no.
Right, and all of a sudden they're coming up and they're saying, oh, I see this whole Israel thing happening. My soul is speaking to me that I need to be involved in this. And he joins and he comes in and he takes on the Torah. So yes, it's open, yes.
Cool. In that aspect, I'm not saying no. I'm not saying that.
Who are the people who see this as a beautiful thing?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that person can't mix. Let me make it clear to you. I ain't no pro nothing. I'm just making you understand something. I'm not saying a person can't be mixed, because I've got mixed in my family who are mixed race, and they definitely Israelites, and without doubt. I'm not asking, not for, but what I'm saying to you is the reality I'm talking about is
But the mixture could have been.
Hold on, let me say something. What I'm trying to make is, we understand the power that's holding. Let's just try to, the power that's holding right now in regards to the children of Israel or the whole identity of the Torah is in the European Jews' hands, right? Yeah?
Eurocentric leaders, political leaders, right?
Alright, cool.
Every prime minister of Israel so far has been Ashkenazi.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
Right.
cool.
That's strange.
Alright, well, it's a nice thing you said there. Interesting, the Ashkenazi Jews. But anyway, we're talking to Ashkenazi in a minute. But what I'm saying is, man, if I was saying a while ago. But yeah, the point I'm making is...
what makes one more legitimate than another? So you call a man who is from an Israelite from Japan mixed. That's what the word you use to refer to him. But who else in the world can prove he had a pure 3,000 years?
I'm not saying no one is. I'm not saying that.
We believe there will be a time where that may get clarified in this messianic quote-unquote era.
If you do watch my trailers, that you'll see that I don't actually verify and say only black people don't be saved. That's not my style. I don't talk like that. You get what I'm saying? So that's one thing. Everyone knows that's not me.
Right.
But what I'm saying to you is the reality is...
You're saying the leadership here is promoting that?
The leadership here... Come on, bro. You say leadership ain't promoting like it's just so... Israelis are for white people and it's just like... Come on now. We got, you know you got Ethiopians here wherever they want to... They actually ain't living and practicing how they used to be. Mm-hmm. So we know there is some conversion thing going on and some serious conversion happening.
Right. This is outside the realm of Torah and in the realm of politics. We got to bring it back to the Torah.
Alright, so how much people are actually trying to bring it back to Torah and keeping it real? That's what it boils down to. Right. Because the reality is, what we can sound here and sound all nice and all cool, but the reality is, it's every day it's affecting lives. Right. There's brothers in this country who want to be here, who are even in this land, and can't actually really move properly because circumstances. There's myself likewise who want to come back home, but it's hard. So I'm saying politically, we know who's got the power, who's got the power and shifting. They're not shifting direction that's going to actually, well, what one you can't see is not shifting direction that can help people in it. So for me, I'm saying, well, yourself and other rabbis, because I know you have the rabbi and there's a rabbi board, what are they really doing to make this movement go without people saying, well, you know, like, I know you talk about the Igbos and you mention them a lot, but again, I'm not referring just to Igbo. I'm referring to a lot of brothers.
A lot of this is not in the hands of man. So there's not much I have to do, even though I'm doing a lot, because the Most High set this thing up where truth is going to be the future. Of course. And so if there's someone in power who's not really intended or not really wielding that power accordingly, his natural trajectory his path is going to leave power.
Okay, let me say this.
And there's examples I can give of this.
You're coming out and saying something like you're in support of, you know, of truth.
Global Israel, yeah.
Cool. But how many rabbis are there that are not actually supporting that? Right. And not saying that and not promoting that? We see on TV, we're not going to pretend like we don't see these things. This is what I'm getting at. This is what I'm trying to understand is, you're here doing this. What I'm telling you, what I said to you before is, you come into the community, you need to bring brothers into your community to talk. Number two, your community, you need to bring your community to be more open as well, because your community is very shut off from everybody else. On the real, like, let's not play their games. You know, your community is very to yourselves. You feel me? Well, so it needs to be more open that people can kind of see what's going on.
You speak about my community, there's two things you're speaking about. There's the sages, the rabbis, and then there's the political Jewish people thing.
Okay.
Let's just say for the rabbis, for example, they're not opposed to collaborating with anyone else. They're opposed to collaborating with people outside of the Torah. So you could be any single color skin and build with them in their world. These rabbis, certain rabbis in Israel, they live in the most isolated reality, arguing 12 to 13 hours a day, as we were speaking about before, over minute laws that had to deal with the Temple of Solomon. It wouldn't seem relevant today, you know. Does he go 200 meters? Does he go 300 meters before you? And they will fight for 5 to 8 hours a day at each other's throats, getting to the minute details. And then when they're done, they walk away like they're brothers. The fight's over, but they're brothers. But if you start talking about anything outside of that conversation, their ears are going to shut down. They have no clue what you're talking about. They don't want to hear it. They're going to close their eyes. They're going to keep walking. So they're not like, hey, this guy's not my color. I can't build with them. Okay. He's like, I've locked myself in the Torah.
Okay, so you've got many Israelite camps in America, England. They sit down with the board of your rabbis and talk? Because I know most of them don't do that. Don't have the opportunity. How come that door hasn't opened? The arms handed out to the brothers saying, yo, we want to talk with you guys.
Right. That's good. That should happen.
Okay, so why is it not being happening?
There's rabbis in Israel who are interested in that, for sure. Not just I'm a young guy, I'm a young rabbi, but actually speaking the words of my ancestors.
So when's that actually when's the manifestation for that? Because talk is cheap, isn't it? When's the manifestation for that going to take place?
The conversation's already happened,
Cool. Yeah. Regarding the indigenousness of this people of this land, we spoke before, and you sent me some stuff over the Facebook. Some things we was relaying back and forth in regards to indigenous people of land. Well, the Ishmaelites in this country, in this land here, are very indigenous to this land, and majority of the Ishmaelite tribes are referring to our dark-skinned origin. Now, what's your take on the indigenous people? What's your take on the Ishmaelites in the land, like the indigenous Ishmaelites, like even the people I'm with?
I think they break it into a few groups here. As far as you can school me otherwise, but I was under the impression there's a lot of indigenous tribes amongst the Bedouins and the quote Arabic-speaking people who actually have roots from the Jewish people or from the people of Israel. Whether some go back 2,000 years, some go back from the 1400s who came here and are hiding things, Jewish artifacts from Spain under the floorboards, but they're living as Arabic-speaking peoples. You have the Druze community in the north who are also indigenous to the land, they say, and are claimed to be from the people of Israel. But if you're going to build to this, you see indigenous people here who we say are Jews, and they're different colors. You see dark-skinned Bedouins who research Israeli scientists, schools, universities are saying there's no question these people are from the children of Israel. There's a lot of groups who did show up here in the last 200 years to get jobs from Egypt or Syria communities. So
Israeli scientists say that some of these dark-skinned Bedouins who have Jewish origin are indigenous here, and they accept that.
There are people here we know have been here 2,000 plus years who never left the land. But there was also waves of people who came from Spain who said they were also from Israel, got exiled and returning back in the 1400s. Even in the year 1000 there's people. So there's different waves that we can organize and categorize of humans that were here who are really part from the same ancient family who become fractured through the political reasons, other religions. Like you said, some of them have gone off and accepted the Quran. Some of them have turned into rabbinic Judaism. But they may have the same family origins.
Cool. That's nice to hear you say that. So you accept that a lot of these dark brothers here, who are here are indigenous to this land.
People who don't accept that right now are actually not so well versed in history, etc. Even the first prime ministers of Israel wrote about this.
Ben Gurion.
And Tzvi is an institute.
And there's also what's his name? Something Ben Hark. I think his name is Vincent Ben Hark. I can't remember his name. He also wrote a book talking about the original. About Bedouins.
Sure, it's very accepted in Israel that we have indigenous people who never left the land, who are from the people of Israel. If someone's listening to this and you're Jewish or not, if you don't know that information, you got to hit the books and get back to it because it's
cool.
true.
Now we see a lot of people don't really know that. A lot of people understand about the indigenous black people in the land because they don't really know that history. Because when they see my documentaries and they see my people, they're thinking, wow, like hold on, these people are black people in this land. I'm like, yeah.
Sometimes they got to hear it from someone a little more comfortable. They should Google Tzvi Misinai, T-S-V-I, Misinai, M-I-S, and I think how you spell it. And
cool.
Yeah, and he wrote a book called Brother Shall Not Lift Sword Against Brother, where he speaks about the indigenous tribes here. He has a very high percentage of who he thinks are indigenous. There's different arguments, but no one says there aren't indigenous people here who are from the children of Israel, so everyone should look that up.
Cool. Yeah.
Not as well look into your documentary.
Yeah, look at my documentary. You can find some nice truth there.
Yeah.
But it's nice to hear the way you speak today. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, it's important that people know. They know that this story right now, what we're currently going through. It's not really a negative. It's a factual thing. And as you say, you got to separate government from Torah. But we know the government actually uses Torah as a basis to become a state. You know what I'm saying? The state of Israel.
They use the brand or the theme of the Torah, but not actual principles. And all the legends that the Jewish people have are about the future of the rulership of the people of Israel, how it's not coming from pure Israel, where we use the term Erev Rav, or the mixed multitude, the Esav Amalek energy.
Okay, well I'm getting at still, not to cut you,
Please, let's keep building.
But it's just to understand that, it's vital that yourself, and you say there's other rabbis who speak like yourself, who acknowledge that black people, we're part of this growth, we're a foundation in this thing. They need to start building with brothers and reaching out. They can't be just closed in their own little community. Rabbi, you tell us off here how you roll with Marlies, then you rolling deep. You rolling yardy, innit? Like, Rabbi's rolling deep, so you connected, innit? You connected. You connected.
Yeah, and I watched, sitting with one of the Marleys, we're watching the weigh-in with Brother Polite, right? And every question that was answered, he would press pause first and kind of give his answer for it. And it turned out we had. Then you watch what I had to say. We're saying the same exact answers because we're both coming from a point of love. So I was, you know.
Yeah, I love love. Love is powerful, but you know what I mean. It's about yourself personally, because everyone's used the word love, but love can only be reciprocated if it's coming with truth. But you see, like how you have said, well, you know, Israelites, undoubtedly, historically, you agree that the ancient Bedouins of the land that you're talking about, the Israelites being dark, then well, cool. But the fact is, going back to, and sad to say to keep dwelling on this because it's something really important. Your rabbinical community really to step out and say, you know what, things need to change because you do have influence on the government, because the fact that the government is using your Torah, because I said my Torah too, but using the Torah, you get what I'm saying, as a weapon, then you don't need to stand out against that, and you don't should be saying something.
Yeah, there's a battle going on.
But it's a battle no one knows about.
Right.
So a battle no one knows about ain't gonna make no one look at you.
Well, I tried to come at the debate, like kind of express that, but it went, you know, in and out in some ears. I hope some people heard it.
But you see, it's not just like a debate. That's like how you're sitting here with me filming.
Yeah.
Why don't your rabbis and film yourselves talking? We only see you on camera saying
you
something.
assume that all the rabbis today know what I'm saying and are just like hiding it in their little stash. But really, when I come into this conversation with rabbis, almost 99.9% of the time, it's new information to them, and they're always excited about it.
So you're leading them.
No, you know, like I said, there's a transmission of like my grandfather in the 1800s was already writing letters to Africa, and the sages of Israel who we could look up to this is not a unique
conversation. Okay,
conversation.
when you say 99% of them is new information, then the rabbis are still in the dark ages in their minds.
Yeah, where it's called the exile Jew. That's a term we could use freely of. We've locked ourselves in our own little box of reality, like waiting for this redemption to happen. So you know, to pull them out to have a conversation outside of the Torah.
I want to touch on that. I want to touch on
difficult.
Okay, cool. I want to touch on this Ashkenazi thing.
Please.
Like Ashkenazi Jews, what are they? Are they Shemites or are they Japhethites?
Mm-hmm. Well, the interesting thing is when you speak about European Jews, people think there's Sephardic and Ashkenazi, right?
Yeah, Sephardic more Moroccan now.
Well, you have Spain, you had all the southern, you know.
I'm talking Ashkenazi.
Well, the truth is that there was like 7 or 8 or 9 different types of Jewish groups throughout Europe. So Ashkenazi was one of them. They refer to the Jews from the Rhineland, from Germany.
But so do you agree that Ashkenazi in Genesis 10, which is about sons of Jacob, Ashkenazi, do you agree that that's Ashkenazi is the same Jews who are...
No, that's actually, anyone who assumes that is under a lot of misinformation. If you look at the Jewish community today, where they came back from Iran, Morocco, Iraq, they came back from certain parts of North Africa, they came back from almost all different directions. Every Jew that came back, they referred to themselves from the land they came from. This is an Iranian Jew, this is a Moroccan Jew, this is a Spanish Jew, a French Jew. So Ashkenaz was what we called those lands. They were the lands of Ashkenaz. So when you say an Ashkenazi Jew, you're referring to the region he came from. Okay. But the Ashkenazi community actually traces back 2,000 years.
Okay, cool. The region you came from, but I'm saying, so the Jews today, they align themselves with that region originally.
The Jews who call Ashkenazi came from the Germanic regions.
So that region?
Yeah.
So they were Japhethites. They were really from Japheth, not Shem.
We believe they came from Shem, as we all know.
The scriptures say they come from Japheth.
The land of Japheth, not from the blood or the soul of Japheth. So, it's very clear. If you know Jewish history, you know that already in the 70 AD, actual Judeans were sold into slavery in Rome. There was actually flourishing Jewish communities in Rome at the time of the Second Temple. So what happened? They all just poofed and disappeared, or did they marry local women like Joseph married a local woman, like Moses married a local woman?
Okay, no.
Did they marry their local women?
I hear what you're saying.
We could trace the history of these people back 2,000 years.
Again, we're just going to run a bit through what the scripture says still. I don't want to actually run.
What does the scripture say?
Because it does tell you about the children of Jacob, children of Ham. This 10 gives you a line out of who the children were. I'm not saying who, I'm not talking who don't intermix with no one. We're talking about the line out of where they are, who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah? And therefore, that line out originally came from Jacob, right? You agree?
The name Ashkenazi, you see...
And you're agreeing that those Jews are Ashkenazi?
No. What I'm saying is those humans from Japheth settled in Europe, and their lands were known after them.
Okay, cool.
So when the exiles of Judah ended up in those regions, they called themselves after the name of the land. Just like the Jews from Iran.
Before Israel became a nation, the Ashkenazi was around.
Here's what I'm saying. They called themselves after the name of the region they found themselves in. So like you're saying, it was Ashkenazi was there potentially 2,500, 3,000 plus years ago, even longer. So when you found yourself there, let's say 1,500 years ago, and the Jew says, where are you from? What type of Jew are you? Well, I'm a French Jew. What type of Jew are you? I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, which means I'm from this land called Ashkenaz, because that was referred to potentially 2,000 years ago after the Roman slavery.
Okay, we know the Jew word, that whole Jew concept, as most people know, it's a very modern concept. You're Israelites, I'm Israelites. Why would you leave the name Israelite and take on the name Jew?
Actually, the term is Yehudi.
Yeah. And the Miti Hadid is when people became Jews.
So the word Jew is not a term we need to use. We can use the word Yehudi.
Yeah, Yehudi. Israelites. Yeah, Yehudi. But there's never a covenant given to Judah that wasn't given to Israel. But I'm not going to go into that. I'm talking
definitely, yeah, there is. There's two totally different roles they've played, Judah and Israel.
What I'm saying to you, if you're going to mention from they were given one law. That's what I'm talking about, the law. If you're going by law, they were given one law. Right?
Yeah, Judah was the lawgiver.
He was given one law, though. It was one law for all of Israel.
Right.
Okay,
well, no,
cool.
the priests had certain things only for the priests.
We're talking about the priests, we're talking about the Israelites.
So it was still our role to learn it.
Cool. So what I'm saying, so we already know that Israel had one law. So I'm talking about that Judaism and Israel, which there was one law given to the people. What I'm saying to you is the Ashkenazi thing. That is really what I'm just, because a lot of people are talking. I want to clear that. Like, the reality is this. Going back to Genesis 10, because we have to make it kind of clear. Genesis 10, it talks about Ham, Shem, and Japheth's children, right? Their lands where they were given, their regions, etc., etc., etc. Right? No, Israel wasn't even existing at that time. Yeah? We're talking about those who are from that region, Japhethites. Okay, because you said something about, I want to make it clear. You got those people from that Japhethite region, the Owls and the other Gentiles, that was their region, where they was according to scriptures. According to scriptures, scripturally, yeah, and they called Goyim, that was their region. Now, what I'm saying is, are you saying that children of Israel, when children of Israel came about, they went over there and they mixed with them and had children, and then hence Ashkenazi Jews say, well, we're Jewish? Or are you saying that those people who are from Ashkenazi, that region, or those people who are Ashkenazi Jews are from that region? Are you saying they're from that region or they're not from that region?
Well, I'm saying they're from the slaves that came to Rome from Judah, from Israel.
So the Ashkenazi Jews, you're saying they're from that region?
At least DNA shows that there could be a root of them from there, but there was a lot of intermarriage where they married women from the local population. They took.
So you're saying when the tribal Jews went to they married with Ashkenazi people?
Yeah, but the most important thing is not to look at the people, was to look at the Torah that they're learning.
That's important. This comes from Torah, because people are asked that.
Well, no, what you're doing is what people are doing, not you, is making generalizations, saying, well, here you have a name Ashkenaz in the Torah referring to Japheth. Here you have people calling themselves Ashkenaz. It must be that they are for the people from Japheth. But that doesn't take into consideration the nature of how any Jewish person identifies himself based on the land that they came from.
Okay, so I'm saying to you,
even the Igbo, I'm an Igbo, right? So it's like, what does that mean? You know, that was, you know, they call them Biafran. I'm a Biafran. You know, so that's the land that they came from.
Okay, cool. So you're saying the land that the Ashkenazi Jews came from was that region?
The most important thing to look into is the Torah that the Ashkenazi groups have, and you'll see it was the same exact Torah as the Sephardic Jews from Morocco and North Africa, and the same exact Torah from the Babylonian institutions of Torah, which went from the year 70 AD all the way until the year 900 plus. It was the one teaching that didn't contradict each other.
Cool. We're not going to argue about which Torah they got.
There's only one.
I know, that's what I'm saying. We're not arguing about which Torah they got. We're not even arguing. We're just talking about.
So at the end of the day, we'd
Torah
have to ask again the implications, because I'm saying that the Ashkenazi people trace back to the Jews that were sold into Rome as slaves, which is well documented.
The Jews.
Right, the Judeans, Yehudim.
Okay.
Let's say, for example, in the world of, in a hypothetical, that's not the case, and that they were converts from the nation of Japheth, right?
Yeah.
Let's say hypothetically. So then, again, what would the implications be? Because the Torah...
The implications would be, one, against this truth. Truth is the highest thing and the most honorable thing that we need. Truth. The implication would be truth. Truth alleviates a lot of pain and pressure and stress on people.
Sure.
Because, I mean, if you don't understand truth, you're carrying burdens.
Right.
And if you walk in a lie, you're still carrying a burden.
Right. So let's build.
So truth is important to build.
Right.
So if we get that truth out there, it's about building. And number two, what it also brings is, when you understand that, okay, those aren't, like I said, you got 99% Jews are sleeping, you're the woken one. If you get these now, so if these accepted truth or say, okay, well, they were the Ashkenazi Jews from that region, and they were converts, right?
I'm saying hypothetical.
Okay, I'm saying, hypothetical. Say they're converts, right? According to scripture, they're converts, right? Then, okay, if they were the converts from Japheth and they converted to Judaism, after, you know, Queen Esther's the first time you talk about the conversion happens in Queen Esther.
Mass conversion
in Esther. Yeah, where it's like Mitya Hadim. If you're talking about their conversions, right? What it is then they wake up to realize their conversions and they can start actually from their heart honestly seeking to build with those who may be more, say, indigenous Jews or indigenous Israelites. I don't really follow the word Israelites. Indigenous Israelites who are Israelites. So there's a pause of truth is what's going to save us. And
let's say in the world of hypothetical again, are those indigenous?
I like releasing more hypothetical, but go on.
Well, because we're coming from two different angles here. We're saying, well, did the Ashkenazi people convert? There's not a lot of good evidence that they did. The DNA does say they married local people, but the Torah, their legacy, their legends, their teachings, all come back clearly to a trail that goes back to Judah, to Yehuda.
Anyone can take up a book and say it's theirs.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
And we see that happen.
Okay, we got all these different Jews from all different places. Probably all of us are Jews.
Same
this
Torah.
Jew, that Jew, yeah. Now, are they all bloodline connected? Have you not done a DNA to check all these people's bloodline connected? To me, like, you got the Kohen Jews, the Kosher Jews from India. You got this Jew, you got that Jew, you got Juju here, you got Juju there.
No, there's not been a full map out. Interesting.
Have there been a test to say we've all bloodline connected?
No, because that's it's not what it's about. But there is certain markers that are found.
Okay.
For example, the Kohen gene.
But remember, the Israelites were actually a nation by.
No, they also grafted people in.
They grafted people in, but if you grafted in, you also did that with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we do find after 3,000 years of dilution enough genetic markers to say these people have a common core.
I'm not fighting against race.
Oh no, yeah.
I'm just making you understand.
Genetically,
like I said, I got family married into my family that are white.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? My brother's got children with a white woman, so what? I know children they have is like blood in them. I'm not arguing about the mix. And if they go marry a next, if my nephew takes the next white girl, then that's gonna be the baby's gonna look more white. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying to the point is, what tests have you not done to validate the way that the claims that you have? Because you're saying about hypothetically saying that the Ashkenazi Jews are Jews who married with the religious Judeans. What tests have you done for all these different people who claim to be Jews and are accepted in the state of Israel? Though it seems to be so hard for black people to be accepted, but...
Well, that's definitely not what it's about. Like I said, there is a lot of DNA that could show that there was intermixings, but I'm going to give a specific case point.
Oh, well, you know history could have intermixings. It doesn't take...
Well, we do have the Kohen gene, which is found amongst Ashkenazim, Sephardim, even groups in Africa, the Yemenites, etc. But let's say, for example, you have now in India the B'nai Menashe, they call themselves. They're south of Bangladesh by Mizoram and Manipur, and there's thousands of them who say we're from the lost tribes of Israel, from the tribes of Menashe, from the children of Joseph. We're joining the people of Israel right now. We're hundreds of thousands of us who forgot who they are, but we know who we remembered and we're rejoining. And so they started studying Torah, they accepted the law, they learned Hebrew, they spoke Hebrew, and now you got thousands of them living in Israel right now. They were able to come here because they adopted to the culture of the law.
What else did they adopt to get?
Well, that was it. And now
so you're saying all they did is
it's the law.
Accept the Torah,
yeah.
And that's it. They accept Torah, and they were
able to make Aliyah, which was still
so easy.
It was still there was organizations that fought for them, that lobbied against them, that raised money for them, that sent people to train them in Hebrew and etc. But you look at their DNA; they don't share the same DNA as me. So it wasn't like you know what, you didn't pass the DNA test, sorry, you can't come. That wasn't what it was about. It was about fulfilling the prophecies and saying we are from these people.
But the majority of black people feel prophecies. You look at Jude, not just Jude 2020. There's many scriptures refers to black people in the Western Hemisphere. Like,
you got so the slave trade, right? Is a lot of, and I spoke to rabbis, and it's a very concrete thing to say. Deuteronomy 28:68.
I ain't talking about this Jude 2028.
Well, I'm saying for example. But now all of a sudden you got people who are saying in the Western Hemisphere, you got people of skin color who could fulfill the role. So what about the villages they came from? Is it just the people in the West, or is it just the people from Africa? So how do we decide who's of Israel? Is it just the skin color, or is it the people?
I'm not saying just.
I'm interested to know because
what I'm saying to you again, is the reality of what you're missing out is because it's nice to be back and forth conversation. Again, it boils down to your rabbis and the government hold a lot of power in what's going on.
You got to separate the two.
No, not going to separate the two because
the rabbis and the government are not on the same team.
The rabbis do okay, but they're not on the same. That's maybe of reason. But let's look at a lot of times when you see political people on TV, rabbis are there also talking in regards to the Africans that come here from Nigeria and that, not Nigeria, from Sudan and that. Rabbis do talk of that. I can show you video clips on YouTube where rabbis are talking out and they're speaking. So it's not hidden facts that rabbis have power, they're talking about it. So the reality is, where's the conversation of some of them talking about us in the West Hemisphere? Look away, brother.
We're just freestyling a little there.
Yeah, freestyling, bro. Popping this up, freestyle.
Yeah, he just asked a good question, and I was saying,
So your last question again, Jake?
My question.
You don't have to say the person's name, but you can ask this was a character, an individual.
Individual who was around at the time, like a generation after King David, who went around and spread the faith around to like China and Khazaria, the Khazarian Empire, and like around those sort of areas. And you told me, then you replied with.
Oh, I thought we were talking about two different things. I thought you were talking about someone who's a modern day person spreading information in the community.
The person I mentioned, Yehudi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Does that name ring a bell to you?
I mean, we definitely see that the information of the Torah was spread around. So as far as the north, where the Khazarian kingdom was, which is there is no Khazarian kingdom today to even compare and contrast who they are or anyone is, but the information was spread, and anyone we say joins the people of Israel retroactively, we believe his soul was at Mount Sinai. So if you are becoming part of Israel, if you identify and or make yourself part of the house of Israel, you're not like a new person coming in. You were, and now you are rejoining.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
You keep saying becoming part of Israel. Who's leading this party though? Israel? Who's leading this party that we're all going to be coming across? And I don't want to say the Most High, but now I don't want to hear no one say that. Who's leading on earth right now for this party?
Well, the Most High is, but definitely. But you're right. But there's
we need to understand because the Most High manifests through.
Let's rewind before Europe.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the Babylonian exile.
I kind of want to know who's leading it now. Like,
Well, the things that these people have said are what's leading it. Because it's information, it's not people.
Okay, so this information, who's controlling this movement then? Is it?
You can't control the information. You could be a recipient of it.
Let's make it easy.
Yes.
Because I know you're great with words. So
like I told you, if you feel like I'm not saying exactly what you want to hear, keep pounding at the wall.
Yeah, I'll go pound at the wall.
Thank you.
I ain't the brothers over there. I'm me, so I'm going to pound at the wall hard so I hear that what I want to hear. So I want to hear, like, who's leading it? Are your guys, like yourselves and a bunch of rabbis leading this? Or somebody else? Like, let's keep it real straight. Who's leading this?
Who's leading what it means to be part of the house of Israel, you're asking?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You lot are leading. Who's calling the shots? Like, what makes it be the part? What makes you accepted as part of the house of Israel?
Mm-hmm.
Who's leading that?
It's the people who have the Torah and its understanding.
Who has the Torah? Who's controlling it?
They're not one person. They come from different nations and different people.
So you're saying there's a society of people?
Yes.
No? There's a society.
It's a society of humans who learn the Torah and have an understanding of the Torah that they didn't come up with.
So it's not European. It's not European Jews or.
It was well before Europe.
Okay, so you say there's another society that's controlling everything, that's leading this thing, yeah?
Well, there's people from Europe who have adopted those teachings, and there's a checks and balance system to make sure no one can manipulate those teachings.
Who's in control now to make sure no one can manipulate? There's got to be somebody.
Well, there's two forces at play right now. You have the government of Israel, and you have the
rabbis.
The quote-unquote rabbis. Well, to be a rabbi is not an impressive thing, because you could be smart, you could pass the test, and you could say, I studied this X, Y, Z, and you could take the test. All of a sudden, you become a rabbi because of the knowledge that you've acquired and your information.
Cool. I just want to stay straight on the points to sort of go into that.
Okay.
Like, so who's leading it? That's my question.
In every generation we call them like the Moses of the generation, quote-unquote, the sage of this generation. We have the sages of Israel, where in every generation is a handful, very few men who we say, this man who's in charge of the passing on of the Torah. No one across the board argued with this man's teachings. And so in every generation we have very few men who take that responsibility upon themselves. And I can go from history all the way from Moses all the way till today and tell you the names of those men.
Oh no, I was talking today.
Well, today we
know what Moses is. We know what Moses is.
So today we have
who? Yeah. Right, technically, because I'm saying, who are these border guys that are controlling?
I'll tell you a beautiful thing.
Are you a part of that board?
I'll tell you a beautiful
I'm asking, are you a part of that board? Yes or no?
Well, there's no one alive today necessarily. I'm gonna tell you a beautiful thing. I'm gonna tell you a beautiful thing.
This board is controlled by spooks that no one that understands.
There was a rabbi.
Hold on, no, brother.
Wait, I'm gonna explain it. What I'm saying.
All right, please, because that needs to be explained.
There was a rabbi who was alive. His name was Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. He was a great rabbi, a great sage of Israel who brought down a lot of spiritual light, and his books are studied today. He says a few things that are very controversial, which I'm going to say now because they're not my own opinions, and it's easy for me to say someone else's opinions. He says, first of all, there's a concept called a scholar demon. with someone who puts the title rabbi on himself, but he's actually coming from the side of evil. And he warns us about them, signs about them, and to avoid them. So first of all, we have to know the title rabbi doesn't mean anything. You could be a quote-unquote, Rabbi Nachman says, a scholar demon, where you're pulling your light from the dark side. Rabbi Nachman also says, you don't need a rabbi today who's alive because the generation of greatness have almost ceased and desisted, even though you could have your rabbi to tell you the law, what to do, X, Y, Z, but your spiritual rabbi could have been someone who's written a book. He could have been someone from the sages. So we have great men, and around the year 700, the 1700s, 1800s, they started to disappear, and we've had leaders since then who we've hold to the highest level of esteem and value.
Cool.
But
that's what I'm getting at. And that's what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Now you just said what I want to hear, because you mentioned about spooks, like people who passed away, bless them, whoever they be. Now what you mentioned a while ago was we have leaders. Now, what I'm saying to you is it leaders from your community? Because someone's got to be leading this. You can't be just staring this just based on books. Now maybe based on books, someone's got to be reading this book and staring it. You feel me?
Yes.
It's just like the whole Machiavelli thing. You reading that book of Machiavelli, staring the way people
someone
do.
leads.
So who's reading and staring this thing?
If someone leads based, reads the book and tries to steer, if he steers not incongruent with the book, not aligned with the book.
Well, definitely someone's staring not aligned with the book because what's going on today, right?
Right, and now
So,
you start to have fractions. Now you start to have fractions who are coming up and saying, X, Y, Z could be the truth, but we're not living in accordance with that. So we have to redefine how we understand these books.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. So you're saying that, so then therefore now we understand that there's a group of people leading, but it's just not being steered correct.
Well, like I said.
But then what I'm saying is, I want to know who are these people leading.
Right.
They don't have to give me names,
They're not.
but I'm saying, are you a part of it?
Well, what they're doing is they're locked into the Torah of its understanding and its preservation. They're not focusing on the global redemption, meaning the millions or more people, around hundreds of millions of people around the world who are saying, we have the soul of Israel, we want to join, we want to be involved. So that is not something that they were trained to do, to deal with. That's not something their day-to-day studies are involved in.
Cool, I understand that totally. But we can see whoever's leading this whole thing is definitely leading this thing incorrect.
No, so now the great sages of Israel today, we do have great scholars today. And when this topic comes up, it is always received with excitement, with open arms, because this topic we're speaking about is a sign that the redemption's en route. And this is really what the righteous people
we're talking about right now.
Yes.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm not saying I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, you said I'm asking one question. Are you a part of this leadership?
I'm a humble guy. I don't know. I'm a young guy.
Everyone's humble. Humbleness doesn't
You have to be 70, 80 years old to...
70, 80. So you're saying the older generations of your people are leading them?
We have like a hierarchy. Obviously,
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Well, no, that's not traditional. You have, like, for example, certain rabbis, when they're 18, 17, they're freaks, their minds are not normal, and they quickly rise to
what I'm saying to you, so
today traditionally...
What I'm trying to get to is, so traditionally, the hierarchy in your congregation...
I'm able to build with the leaders of the Torah world today very intimately.
Okay, we're getting so you're close to Torah.
Very close.
I like that. That's very close.
No, intimate. Like,
okay, cool.
The
so what I'm saying is, what needs to happen now is, how about open that door for me to come in there, film them guys, and talk to them, real to real? Because, like I said, you want to win hearts of people, and you want to show open honesty. Then it's not wrong with me coming in there, filming them. I'm leaving the country a couple of weeks time. I'm sure you can open the door for me. I'm sure you say they battle for hours on ends on phones and in rooms. You say they conversate. You said earlier. So then there's definitely between now and I leave, there's a day you're going to do this thing. Why can't I come up to Jerusalem, film, talk to the rabbis, shake hands, eat some whatever you eat, bread, tea, just chill and talk.
Manischewitz.
Yeah, everything. Just kick it.
I got you. That's cool.
No, I'm on a real thing. Do you think that because we're talking about being honest here, we're talking about open doors, we're talking about sharing truth and understanding and dealing with truth, because that is a fundamental word. The Most High loves truth, integrity. The Torah teaches about the integrity. You get what I'm saying? So for reality is if we're not dealing with the integrity, then we're not dealing with nothing. We're dealing with falsehood. So we can't be dealing with falsehood. We can really, because we want to show people, we want to show the world that we're about this truth. So I'm saying that door open for me to come in there and film the brothers, talk to them, and understand what's really going on. Though you said you're the 1% or whatever, but that's never here or there. It's about going there and open up and talking.
Some of the rabbis, right, that we're speaking about, the leaders, the Torah leaders of Israel, you're lucky if you get a few minute handshake blessing with them. You know, the nature of their life. They have thousands of people line up outside their apartments all day.
Okay, cool.
etc.
Thousands of people line up.
But there are rabbis who I think who are in that middle ground, who are extremely influential, who would be interested in having this conversation.
Well, I would do that. Okay, so let's try to hook this up for some ASAP. Come up there, talk to them, and go from there.
Yeah, take advantage while you're in the land.
That's
I'm down with that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Alright, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said this way. You sit on camera too, so it's a beautiful place to say it.
The best I could do is open up my network, whether they're going to say yes or no, you know, we can have a follow-up
But they
conversation.
say, I know, but yeah, well, definitely, they say no, the follow-up conversation has to be like, wow, why they say no? You get what I'm saying?
They live, like I said, they live in their own...
No, but you can't believe in your own word to our righteousness. Because that's not true. You can't be saying you want to open the world for everybody and show this big love to all mankind, but they live in their own world.
Right.
They're being hypocritical in that own statement, not saying you are.
Right.
That whole statement would actually be that statement would be hypocritical.
What they're trying to do is they're trying to pass the ball onto a generation that knows what to do with the information that they're preserving. So all of a sudden I receive these teachings, I was like, wait a minute, I know what to do with these teachings.
Okay, no.
Your job was to pass
now
it
it
along.
goes down to then that means we can be with you because you're the level. No, we go to that people you talk about who's got this education from a
Well, they have the information, but they don't have the desire to be an ambassador and build with it.
But the reality is, you can't be a one-man speaker because if you do a one-man speaking, the person people look at is right. This is Jesus. You're the image of Jesus. We want to stay. Let's open the door properly, like how you're here with us. There's a few brothers and you're here, and we're all kicking it. This is how it's got to be. We got to come into there and show like, hey, the rabbis open the doors and they're willing to talk and say, we understand who you are. We understand the circumstances. We understand there's a change that needs to take place.
Right.
This is what needs to be shown.
Right.
Then people can start looking at things different. But this is the reality. But they can't be like, well, they ain't gonna have a time for it because at the same hand, you can't be like I said again. I'll say it, I'll repeat. You sound very hypocritical for saying, you know what? I'm all about this all coming together thing and. Israelites from all different type of people be Israelites now because they're intermixing and everything else. Then at the same time, you have no time to talk to people about the real unification, the situation that's hurting a lot of people who have Israelite origin, especially of African origin. Come on, man, that don't sound correct.
As I was saying, I get called sometimes to be on the radio station in Israel for the ultra-Orthodox community. And I give them two main points of the Hebrew word is musar, like when I'm coming at them hard, a little bit hard, and I yell at them for two things. One is I say, you guys have to have unity. The Jewish people, as great as we are, in our evolution here, which is a beautiful thing that's grown into other cultures, there's not a lot of unity amongst the groups. Even amongst the Ashkenazi groups themselves, they don't have a lot of unity. So I call on the people for unity. And the second thing is I call on the rabbis, the leaders of the community, to take responsibility for the redemption unfolding and to learn about this global Israel that's unfolding, how to deal with it, how to process it, and how to have a global conversation. So the people have to be united and the leaders of the rabbis of the communities have to align themselves with this. But like I said, certain people feel their role was to pass on information to the right generation to do with what they want with it. They don't feel inclined to be ambassadors to other nations around the world, but they hope that the information that they've delivered will play that role. But while you're here, we can network.
Okay, cool. Next
one question.
Hold on. One second. What next one I want to ask is, man, you didn't figure out what I was going to ask. Damn, guys, you don't stop me. I'm going to take.
It's a good question.
No, I have something important to ask you. What was I going to say again? You got just messed my brain. I was going to ask him something. Ask a question, but I might get my question back. Sorry, my boy got a question to ask you. Ask away, bro.
I'm excited.
No, just like before we started recording, you mentioned like how the CIA and FBI like watching the community real close. I wanted to know like what the trailer thought for that was.
Well, it's actually a good segue, his question, because I speak to the rabbis about this also.
Yeah, I don't know if you're like referring to Project Megiddo or like if you know about them at all, but in terms of like what...
I'm under the impression that the African diaspora humans, the unity amongst them, is a threat to the powers to be in the exile in America and abroad. And I was under the impression that there's been agents, quote unquote, monitoring the communities from their inception, from their attempts to unite under truth and information, spirituality. There's been an agenda to keep them separated. I'm not going to go into the conspiracy theories now about Tupac and Biggie and
No.
really who was promoting the fight. Was it them or was it the media? Because if who was the media that wanted a fight between people? Who was trying to keep humans not united? And it really, you could follow the money. It really goes back to agendas. And so today, where you look in this consciousness community, quote unquote, where people are trying to regain identity and talk, people's focus should not be necessarily on you're white, I'm black, that means you have no melanin, I'm blessed, you're the devil. Well, really, you're building in your circle with people who are trying to keep you, not united. So black people and white people are united already to promote division. So now there's no room for dark people and white people not to unite for unity, because we're up against already working together against us. Because I'm not, I spoke about the debate, the Freemason concept or whatever it is, higher level stuff. There's organizations, fraternities that are colors are working together already, and people are trying to create confusion amongst the community, which that should be the focus of everything that the consciousness community is about.
Yeah, I want to add to that. Still not. I want to say something in regards to color complexion. I don't believe in hating someone because they're white or black. I mean, I'll say that every day. Now I'll say that every day.
Well, I don't blame the people who do.
Nah, but it's not. I'm not about hating on for color. Like I said, truth is a matter of principles. Is what I'm about.
Right.
So if somebody is of a black origin, we gonna say they're of a black origin. If someone's of a white origin, it's like we have to get truth. That's all. That's all I'm about, truth. I don't care if you're white or black. I said my boy, he's white. It's not a problem. My nephew and my nieces are half white. That's not an issue to me. I've got loads of white brethren. That's a minor. I don't care about your color. I can see through your color. I know he's a white man. I can love him for him. Mm-hmm. That's no issue. I ain't gonna say I don't see color. That's just dumb. You feel me? I see color.
Yeah.
That's no issue to me. It's no issue to me. You feel me? The reality is what I'm saying to people is truth. For me, it's truth is the bottom line. Because truth, once we start building that foundation of truth, and you can accept, okay, this is what's supposed to be. That's what's supposed to be. That alleviates boundaries. It alleviates pressure. It alleviates frustration. It alleviates anger. And this is what needs to be done. And this is what always creates problems. Lack of truth. You feel me?
That is what needs to be done. But amongst that conversation, there's people trying to play a role in that conversation who don't believe what you believe and are trying to keep division alive. And so there's like an elephant in the room. I speak with the rabbis about this, that there's a global force that doesn't want this redemption to happen. It doesn't want people to unite in love. But they're in sheep and wolf in sheep's clothes, where they're amongst us. And they're pretending to be like us, but really, I don't know whose payroll they're on, who's financing them, what their real agendas at the end of the day, why they're double-sided. So one side they'll talk about unity, but the other side they're going to call someone the N-word and yell at them and berate them and make them feel like, is that the way you really talk to your brother? How you love him? You're showing your cards very clearly that you're not in this agenda of world peace. So moving forward, like you said, it has to be about truth. But everyone has to define who they are and what they're trying to represent. And if they do things contrary to that, then that's going to be an indicator that that person's not practicing what he preaches. So if you want to sit here and call me out and say, Rabbi, you're talking about X, Y, Z, but you finance this politician, not that I'm in the power of financing politician, but you donated to this politician, and he's saying that, so is that not in line with my principles? So amongst the conscious community in America, in England, abroad, we really have to define who everyone's agenda is, and it'll be very clear who's here to unite and here's who to create confusion. That's I think that's stage one.
Okay, you said the rabbis are they're in their own world of, just off air you just said a while ago, the rabbis are in their own world of of thought pattern. Are they programmed to be in that way, to be in their own world?
So certain rabbis are programmed from a very young age that what you do is you study Torah from the waking hours of the day until the late hours of night. So I have friends when I was in the house of study, I studied like full days, but you had your friends waking up at 5:30 in the morning, sitting and studying Torah till 1, at night, every day, in and out, sitting, moving, singing the songs of Torah. So they're literally, their life is strictly within the confines of learning and studying Torah since youth.
So that's cool. So they're studying Torah, they study all the other books, they're studying Tanakh then, yeah? They study all the Nevi'im, the right?
Well, they study the oral law, and the oral law pulls from all of Tanakh. So if you go through the oral law, you end up going through the whole Tanakh.
Cool. So technically, because they would know about all the different people you say that are Israelites all over the place, and they definitely should know then that there's Israelites in Africa. Well, why is it then why are they so boxed up and actually not actually seeing you know, this whole concept. I mean, you are, but how come?
Well, they're waiting for the redemption.
For what? Redemption
For a
before
redeemer to come.
before they start looking at that.
They're just they think my role is to study and learn Torah and to pass
and
it
they sit
on.
back and that's it. Pass
And
it
they
on.
said someone else's role is going to be a redeemer. And when that guy comes and redeems, he's going to take information that we help preserve.
So do that person redeemer? They expect that redeemer to come from the Ashkenazi Jews, or they expect the redeemer to come from maybe one that old?
They don't speculate which one he's going to come from, but they say for sure he's going to have a Torah version of Torah that's going to be accepted by all parties, all groups.
Interested, they don't know what he's going to come from. So they're not.
They say he's going to come from Judah, from the house of David.
Yeah, of course, the scripture says it comes from the house of David.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, do they expect him to look like, you know,
No.
European Jews? Like, they expect him to look more darker skin?
There's no expectations on it.
Expectation at all.
I would be surprised to hear one person's opinion on the matter.
Okay, so they have no expectation of him.
How can someone know? You can't
But-
make things up. You have to. Anything you say in the world of Torah thought has to actually come from the Torah.
So, okay, cool. I hear you.
So
they have no.
if people, a lot of Jews over the last 2,000 years have written things and they got burnt, you know, because they said, I didn't hear this from my father.
Well, okay, so
It didn't make it past. Some people got burnt and then 100 years later were like, oh wait a minute, this was okay, we verified it. So it's a whole checks and balance system.
they're just gonna. So then these rabbis are just boxing their own world, just reading Torah for the sake of nothing, technically.
For the sake of preserving it, passing it along.
Pass it along to just brothers like
Well,
yourself.
they believe that by them learning Torah, they create a gratification amongst the Most High. The Creator of the universe enjoys.
But according to Hebrew
them
culture,
learning Torah.
according to Hebrew culture, you were supposed to embrace the stranger that came amongst you, right?
Yes. So
But
they're definitely.
is there much embrace of strangers though?
So if their community, let's say you have the greatest rabbi of Israel today, he's living in his little box of studying Torah all
So
day.
therefore, he's
Big
embrace the
box.
strangers then.
Let's say someone comes to his community, he's a convert, but he converted according to what this rabbi feels is. That rabbi will show that person love. So
So back to boys and what I'm saying to
Yeah.
again, and the guys in control of the people you're around.
yes,
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere in that regards to that aspect.
yeah.
So then that's what I'm saying. It boils back to controls in you lot's hands.
There is a control of who is amongst the nation of Israel based on your oneness with the Torah today.
Okay, so
That is the defining line.
then I'm getting it goes back to why it's so hard for the black people in the West to actually be accepted.
Right. Well, for example, let's talk about those people in the West, right? So what scriptures are they learning? Where are they getting their scripture from, right?
Reading Torah.
Where did they get that from?
There's books all over to buy.
Where did we have to trace the information back all the way.
So you're saying the Torah that they sell on the road are not correct?
No, well, anything written in English now is going to be very difficult to, because you know how many tens of thousands of different versions of the Torah there are in different English formats. So
okay,
which
the
one
Torah,
is
the
it?
Torah they use over here, they call the new Jerusalem Tanakh, the Hebrew one.
Mhm.
Is it correct or not? Is it correct or not?
So I'm not sure what the New Jerusalem Tanakh is. I know there's one Tanakh which first thing we have the Septuagint, where the rabbis translated for the Latin, for the Greeks, they gave them the where the Bible came out.
Okay, so let's ask, when you're Torah you're reading, what much more difference is there from the English translation?
Worlds of difference, because the Hebrew letters are code. They're written. Each letter is embedded information. We say there's 70 faces to the Torah, which means I could take this Torah and break it down in so many levels. Numerical letters, how many times this word was used in the Torah, what implications does that have? There's so many things that are only able to understand when in the actual language the Torah is written. When you have an English understanding of it, you can kind of get the theme of the story. There was a flood, there was a man named Jacob. You can get like the most outer periphery of the story. You can't possibly dive into its deeper essence, its spiritual purpose.
You can't.
It's impossible. It was a great preservation in the English that it kept billions of people talking about the house of King David. But
It's interesting to say that still, but then according to Scripture it says it takes it from the book and places it. You take it from the laws and place it on your hearts, right?
yeah, well, Moses also, he translated the Torah to many languages. We see that's one thing, but that was for the world at the time. But to have the actual essence of the Torah needs to be in its own language. So anyone from, you're mentioning the African diaspora in the West, anyone who has a Torah, etc. now, it's coming from the transmission of rabbis from the great Babylonian.
So technically, you're saying anyone to want to read Torah and convert into anyone who wants to read Torah needs to literally come for you those doors.
Well, they haven't found an ancient Torah in outside of Yemen or etc. There has been no ancient Torah found in sub-Saharan Africa.
Like I said,
Yeah, not meaning that they're not the people.
So anyone wants to
Israel,
come.
but
Okay, so anyone wants to come for Torah. Anyone wants to come to Torah will go for your doors, technically.
not my doors. This is one. The
Hold
Torah is
on,
the
hold
Torah.
on,
There's
hold
only
on,
one
hold on.
Torah. There's
Okay,
no
that's what I'm saying.
Torah.
But come through.
There's no
But you
Torah.
don't. But who controls the Torah? You don't.
There's humans today who have a teacher that goes back to Moses, and they have the Torah. And there's only one Torah. There's no other group today that says I have another Torah. There actually is the Druze community in Israel. They have a Torah which it has a few nuances after 3,000, 2,000 something years, 600 years with the Torah today. And
Samaritans.
yeah, the Samaritans, right? The Shomronim, right?
The ones that live in Palestine. I mean, those Jews.
Well, Palestine's what Rome called Israel.
Yeah, I know, but even those Jews live in the region of Palestine
Yes,
today.
and they're actually in the Galilee. A lot of them in the Galilee.
In the
Yeah,
mountains.
yeah.
Yeah, you try them.
Yeah, so that's interesting, but they believe they had some flaws also. They're not saying that what we have was perfect, but there is only one Torah in the world. So if let's say
You guys hold it.
well, let's say you were like,
I'm asking you guys hold it.
no, it's not us
It's
guys.
okay, but
the
it's
just Torah
more
holding
that
it.
you like, Roy. That's
If
cool.
you're like, Rabbi Harry, I'm into this, I'm going to go full throttle. You go for the Torah, you pick it up, you start learning this. You could be the next greatest sage of Israel. You could be the greatest. Rabbi Akiva, we say, was one of the greatest people in the transmission of Torah. Everything we have today almost comes from him. His father was a convert. He started studying Torah at the age of 40 for the first time. He didn't know the Aleph Bet until the age of 40. He is the greatest of the pillars. So it's not like he wasn't like you guys. He was like, I'm taking this. I want the Torah. And he took it and he led.
You have a question?
My question was just like it wasn't really a question. It was more like I wanted to know your opinion on the modern Hebrew script that's used today and the Paleo Hebrew script that is used.
I actually
that
have
used to be used.
a few thoughts on that.
Yeah,
I don't know how much I can say like 100% what the ancient script was, but I'll tell you one thing. The people of Israel, the script that is being used today was considered sacred and only used for holy writings or prayers. And for your day-to-day conversation, your newspapers, it was not supposed to be used for that. It was the people of Israel spoke a dialogue for conversation. They learned in Hebrew, the holy tongue. For example, they spoke Aramaic in the times of the exile. That was their conversation. But when they learned to study Torah, it was in Hebrew. So, for example, when you have Daniel and the whole thing with the writing on the wall, he was able to decode the writing because he was part of the priestly classes who understood the secret scripts.
Okay.
So the writing that was used at the time probably was a periphery writing because you don't want to degrade the writing. So the Hebrew letters we have today, there's actually hours and hours and hours of information of how we decode the letters, which symbols. For example, Aleph is made up of 2 yuds and a vav in between, and the higher worlds, the lower worlds, the connecting. So we give hours of explanations on the Hebrew letters. So we're very certain that the Hebrew letters we have today are what was the spiritual letters of Adam and from the original times.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Can you clarify, is the modern Hebrew language,
Language.
modern Hebrew, is it Yiddish?
Is the modern Hebrew language Yiddish?
Is
Well,
it?
Yiddish is a
variation
Germanic.
of
No, it's
This is a misconception. I just
right. Yeah, it was a good question. Yiddish was an example of like Aramaic, just like ancient Judeans spoke Aramaic. So the Jews in the exile spoke Yiddish, just like the Spanish Sephardic Jews spoke Spanish.
Right.
They didn't speak the Hebrew amongst one another. So Yiddish was just a Germanic language that evolved. But when people came back to Israel from Europe and they started speaking Hebrew again, a lot of the words were new. Like what's ice cream? Like they got. So a lot of the words were pulled from the Tanakh, where they took variations for. So a lot of their words have roots. But like for radio, television in Hebrew is not in the Tanakh. So they use a word for today. But there's a lot of groups amongst rabbis. They say,
no.
No, Yiddish is is a dying exile language.
So the biblical Hebrew is not Yiddish.
No, Yiddish was just something.
No, I'm talking biblical. Are you talking biblical Hebrew or are you talking the Hebrew they speak today?
Okay, both.
What are you
No,
talking
the Hebrew we
Hebrew
speak
speak
today,
today.
no, is based off the Tanakh. But there's obviously new words that were used.
So how do you say understanding in Hebrew today? Because in Hebrew, the biblical Hebrew is bina. How do you say understanding in Hebrew today?
Mevin, which is the same shorish, the same roots, with the bena.
Bina and Mevin.
Yeah, Mevin means like from understanding. So
Okay, but Mevin and Bina.
well, it's built on the same rules. No one's trying to say today the language of Hebrew that they're speaking in the streets is a holy lashon hakodesh, holy tongue. But there's actually groups who say don't speak Hebrew today because it's too close. It is based on the Holy Scripture, and it's manipulative. You can't take that and defame it. So now you have curse words in Hebrew. You can't do that when you're speaking
But
in
modern Hebrew, just to completely verify, it does have some Yiddish word like ashpa. Ashpa is like maybe
a garbage can.
Yes,
Right.
it may be a Yiddish word. Taka. Yeah, I think that's a Yiddish word. There's certain words in the modern, and the reason for that, I think the explanation.
Who created modern Hebrew?
What is one of the first Zionists that came back?
Be'er-Be'er-Koch?
Hmm?
Be'er-Be'er-Koch?
I forgot the name of this. Something Ben David.
Eliezer ben.
Yeah. He they decided to bring it back, and it was, I think it was
200 years ago.
Yeah, it was nothing short of. I think it was a beautiful thing they did that, but there's no reason that we should be able to have the Hebrew language be used in a way that there's curse words or you can, it has to remain holy. There's certain Jews in Israel today who don't speak Hebrew amongst one another. They'll have to speak Yiddish or. I guess that's what they're speaking. They're speaking Yiddish because they don't want to speak in the day-to-day Hebrew. When they learn the Torah, they're speaking Hebrew.
There's a scripture in the books and the prophets. It said that God's give us a new language, a new tongue. You know that scripture? There's scripture about getting a new tongue, a new language. Right?
When you
Pure language. Yeah.
when you
In regards to the language.
we were saying that in the future there's such a thing in the prophecies which speaks about a new tongue or but these are all the prophecies were written and also in code, very deep things. So does that mean that we're going to have the power to create again, that our voices are going to be renewed, that they're going to be rippling off into the earth in a positive way?
I'm just making it plain. Are we going to have a new language, or is it going to be this Hebrew that everyone's using today?
Anything we understand from the prophecies, a lot of it's speculation based on our understandings. Are very
So what is your understanding? Do you think we're going to have a new tongue, or we're going to have this language again? This language that you're not speaking today, this Hebrew? That everyone will have this Hebrew, or
yeah, I could probably imagine that we're gonna evolve into a much more advanced level of speech.
Oh, so it won't be this Hebrew, it'll be more.
There's no way to know for sure, but if I'm going to use my imagination, I would think we'd evolve out of
this Hebrew into something else.
Perhaps, yeah.
Okay, cool.
That'd be interesting to see.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe this Hebrew.
The Hebrew today has nothing to do with the scriptural Hebrew.
I don't.
That's
what I'm saying. I don't believe it's nothing to do with
this.
I believe it's a new
How
tongue.
much of Hebraic understanding or Hebraic heritage is actually how much of Kemetic understanding is permeated through Hebraic heritage, Do you think?
I'm definitely not a master of Kemetic science.
Is there a connection with Asian Kemetic?
Yes, well, I think that there's a very intimate connection, as I spoke about, and the debate was, they were both obsessed with the acacia tree, and they're both producing electricity. And in very similar themes about opening up certain dormant parts of the mind and mind control. What I believe is in ancient Egypt, which you see today, excuse me, when certain information was attained, they created castes around it and levels of hierarchy. So, for example, you see Freemasons today, you got the first 3 degrees, which are like, okay, you're just a tool. But then you work your way up, and the whole thing is teaching you how to have control over other people. But as you go up and up, you learn more and more. So when the information you're given, you know it's not even true necessarily, but you know it's what you were supposed to have for this level. And then as you get up and up, you get closer and closer to this higher level information. So information back then in ancient Egypt was the same. It was created in this little bubble where you had the pharaoh, the god man, and then it rippled its way down onto the people, onto the civilians. So if you're going to tell the people in the fields, work in the fields, the sun is God, right? That's for your level of understanding. I'm going to tell you the sun is God. But really, we're going to speak about a spiritual understanding, not a physical sun, and we're going to keep a caste around that. So the purpose of the people of Israel was to liberate all information where it's like, this is human information, no more God men.
I don't believe the Kemet, I believe that teaching of Kemet is a bit misunderstood. I don't believe the people in Kemet actually worship the sun, but that's another story.
Well, are the farmers or the priests? Because there's 2 different...
even as it is, you got to understand that Kemet people didn't actually praise the sun. So.
The Kemet priests didn't, but the farmers may have, because that was what they were told. They were given bottom level information because that was all they needed to keep the system alive. It was a whole caste system. And that's what Freemasonry today is based around.
So you think the mystery school system in ancient Kemet?
So hold on, sorry, that's a beautiful thing you're saying. So you're saying they say the Israelites and the Kemet have that same kind of system, right?
There's only one truth. There's only one information.
No. I'm saying you say that Israelites and the Kemet have the same kind of system with this kind of information, the way the information laid out.
But there's only, like I'm saying, there's only one truth.
So hold on.
Egypt was trying to manipulate it and creating mixing God men into an ego.
What I'm saying to you, So you're saying that the way the system's laid out is the same way Israelites and Kemet have the same kind of. You said
There's a lot of similar themes.
So is there that same way laid out right now with the Israelite? Well, with the way it's laid out with Jewish, you know, it's hierarchy where they know something. They know something up there, and you know it's filtered down and ain't getting filtered to the people.
It's not hidden. So you have your rabbis and you have the people who maybe not know anything, but the people who don't know anything could rise to be the greatest rabbi in the world with very simple ease. All it is time, dedication to study.
Of course, but it's also open to only certain people, right? Because they ain't open to me. All my brothers, they ain't open to
Well,
me.
if you start going to the house of study and building, you're going to get information.
I'll come to your house tomorrow and get some information. Yeah?
That's what it is.
I don't play for information.
We respect the person who busts his back to get, to get information.
Yeah, well, you know, we're going to see what's going on, but you know, you did say you're going to try to open them doors. So I'm looking forward to filming the rabbis and talking to them and
just take it easy on them. You know?
I'm easy on you today, wasn't I?
No, I'm just kidding.
No, you was good.
I'll take it easy on you today. We take easy and chat away so long,
No,
bro.
me and you were good. I've been training for this conversation, preparing because this is a needed conversation. You know, so 10 years I'm meditating on like what is humans doing going forward.
Yeah,
But for the
I'm glad we can be open with it and talk, because you know my boy Tay, I was like because I don't want to play the around thing, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad it's like
No, you
it's
were
open.
good. I think the rabbi, listen, I'm telling you.
Yeah, so
This interview here was the best one you've done because Stephen actually came for you from a real position. He was actually authentic.
no agenda.
What you've been getting,
I ain't got no agendas.
what you've been getting is people with agenda, and they have not been authentic and have not been actually wanting to hear what you have to say.
You know what's good though? Yeah. You know what's good? Through those conversations, I was able to expose people who
Yes.
didn't have everyone's best intentions in mind. If I come from Israel to Harlem for a conversation and it's an opportunity to build bridges between two communities to have a real conversation and
You're flat.
and you're going to take that opportunity to promote a brand or an ego, then it was not a waste of a situation. It was just letting the humans know this platform cannot be the platform to redeem us.
It has no redemption.
But a conversation like this is full of like, hey, you're like, I'm okay with being your brother, but before we get there, we got to be on the same truth plateau.
No, he came real with you.
It's so good. And Rabbi, it's beautiful. So, feel me? It's so good. And this, so, it's a little good. Everything like that. You know what I'm saying? So good, it's so good. Done, bro.
Peace.